Hi guys, in this video I will show you how I started from this, how I got there. The music never stops, no. So first things first. This song is produced by Cosmo and it is released on UMEK's label 1605. And me personally, I'm a big fan of UMEK. I really like all the music he does, so I always follow what he brings out. And yeah, Cosmo is also a German producer from Cologne, as far as I'm informed, and he works a lot with with hardware and with analog gear, which is really different to UMEK's approach, who is always working with in the box like me. And I also think you can make great music in the box, but also you can make great music with analog gear. So this is a great example for a peak time song. And I tried to replicate it and I thought, yeah, let's do this, and that might be interesting for you guys because there are some interesting things going on. And also this sample is really, I think every producer has the sample. It's in a very popular pack, and I think let's just dive right into it and let's start with a sample. The sample, I just opened up Splice and I typed in "Music Never Stops." Oh, and here you are. Do that. Let's try it out together. And also the other sample is in this pack, which I think every house producer has, this Mark Knight Volume 5 Trademark Series toolroom pack. And you can also get it at Splice, so it's really easy to get and easy to find. So I got both samples. I had to pitch them a little. Let's look into it. So the first one is the "Music Never Stops" sample. It sounds like this in solo. Yeah, I pitched it down by 4 semitones, and that's basically it. What else did I do? I put a high cut filter on it. I turned it down by 6 dB. I don't know why I took the route to do it here. There must have been a reason, I don't really know. And then I'm sending it to my delay and also to my reverb, which I did later. So in my old days I used to mix while I was producing. That's basically lying to yourself, and everything sounds great and nice with a lot of reverb on it. But the truth is, you just make a big mess, and as soon as you get back to the mix, everything is in a reverb and not really clear. And I decided to not do that anymore and just go ahead and let it sound okay-ish, like 80% there. And then when I'm done with the production, I switch over to mixing mode. And then I switch over to mastering mode to really have it in different sections, and it makes sense. This song sounds so much better. By the way, you can download it on my Bandcamp, and you will also find it on SoundCloud. The links are down in the description. But yeah, that's the sample. And then there was another sample which is Lost in the Music. It says Lost in the Music, and it's also from the same sample pack. So if you have the Mark Knight two-room thing. And for this sample I opted to pitch it up, I think in this case. No, I also pitched it down by 4 semitones, yeah. And I didn't do much more. In the original also the transients were changed a little bit, so in the song by Cosmo, but I opted for not doing that. So what's really interesting in this song is the drop, because you hear that kind of drum bass thing. It's not new in techno, everybody does that right now. Let's check here. The chords, right? Drum and bass, house. It's basically house. So if you're trying to replicate that within a scale, so if you switch on scale in Ableton Live, you will not get these chords. You will get them much easier, but you have to know. So let's go into my pad and see what we've done here. B flat, D flat and F. So it's a B flat chord, B flat minor. And as you can see, in the scale of F minor in which the song is written, it wouldn't make sense. So the tones are always in the same difference to each other, so in the same intervals, and you just keep them and you just move them up and down. You don't change the intervals like you would if you were to do it in scale. So that's really something that comes from having a sample of a chord, putting it into a sampler and then playing it chromatically. That's what house producers and house DJs used to do. So this aesthetic is really, key to electronic music, and that's what he did here. Okay, so maybe that's the most important thing for the beginning, and that's where the song, the original and my version sound somewhat similar. But then, the drop is coming and I was not sure what to do there. So, the music never stops, no. What I've done here is I've gone back in time and I've done something which is unpopular right now. So I produced kind of like in the electro house days of 2008, 2009, 2010. That was my youth. That was when I was 18. And I still like that. This aesthetic is slowly coming back, but these kinds of leads are not really there yet. How did I do it? I did it in Serum. And let's look into it. So, what do we have here? We have first, in the first oscillator, we have the Debussy, and let's solo it and listen. You see, here is an LFO that's going up and down and changing the wavetable position. And a second LFO is also working, a little faster. What we really have here is two different oscillators. As you can hear, the saw that I put underneath or next to the Debussy, because it's in the same octave, gives it like an audible vibe because it's very short, and I've automated, as you can see, the decay here, and it sometimes opens up and comes to life. And that's what makes the sound interesting at the end of the day. I've used the Formant filter. That's something if you are into future house or if you are into dubstep, that's really the filter you use for the yows all the time. So that's the Formant filter. I really love it for a kind of quirky sound. Let's call it like this. It's very percussive, and when it gets longer, it's quirky. It's like a machine is talking to you, and that's what I like. It's not on vogue right now, but we can change that, right? FX wise, what have I done here? I have a filter which is also modulated with my envelope, going open and closing, opening and closing. So that's really enhancing this plucky sound. I have a distortion, and also the drive and the mix are modulated by the envelope. And then we have a multiband compressor, nothing fancy, just to make it even more clicky, poppy, and in your face. The chorus is mixed at 0. I can switch it off, it doesn't make a difference. I've messed around with it and I have opted for not using it. Also the reverb here, as you see, is switched off because I wanted to have everything dry and mix it later. And that was a great decision. So I tested how it's sounding with reverb. I realized that I need a different reverb because this one is not sounding the way I want it, but that's something I can do later. And then what else have I done? I've used an EQ to low cut, of course, and then on the number 3 at 3.3 kilohertz, so that's a resonant frequency, especially with that Formant filter. It gives you a lot of noise, and this area between 3 and 4 kilohertz is something to always look out. If something is noisy or hurting your ears, that's very likely to be in that range. So if you have a present synth, or also for vocals, for electric guitars, for anything that has a very present tone, check between 3 and 4 kilohertz. Then of course we have an LFO tool just for the ducking effect, that's pumping up and down. I don't even see if I have the split on or off. Yeah, I have it on. I have it on. Sorry, I switched everything to red because it's late already and I don't want to be too tired, too awake after this video with the bright lights. Then we have an auto filter, but that's just an automation, right? And then I put everything to a limiter because I've messed around so much and I don't want to have a... So I always put a limiter on when I make crazy stuff. So that's basically the main sound. And then also I've made a lift, a riser. Oops. And I've explained what I've done here in the other video already, in my first video. So first of all, we have one LFO that is simply opening up over the course of 8 bars, and what it does is it pitches up the noise, it turns up the level of the noise, and also it slowly increases our coarse pitch of the envelope of our synth. So then we have a second LFO, and the second LFO is, let's start it again. As you see, I have... Wie heißt denn der Scheiß jetzt wieder? Ah, scheiße, wie heißt denn das jetzt? Was ist denn los mit mir, sag mal? Jetzt habe ich es wieder. As you see, I have automated the rate, so it starts at 1 bar and then it goes faster. So now... Then out of my main lead sound, I've made some steps just to, yeah, cover everything up and make the Christmas tree beautiful. Alright, and that's basically all the magic that's happening inside this song. What else did I do? I've made my drums and I've also made my low end, and maybe that's again interesting to see. What have I opted for the low end? Let's listen to the groove part. So first of all a kick and a tom, because it's on UMEK's label, right? So you need a tom. I really like toms. And then I have made a sub bass, and as you see, it is harmonic, so it changes also with the chords that are happening in the song, which is not really like modern techno, I know that, but I liked it and so I decided to do it. And again, for the sub bass, there's nothing special at all. I've just opted for a square wave and a filter on it, which is opening up with the envelope. And that's basically it. And also, of course, an LFO tool just to clean out the stuff that's hanging over, so the kick has a lot of space to knock. And then for the breakdown, of course, we have a different bass that's moving there, but that's basically a preset. Is it? I'm in the wrong track. So that's a preset. BS Church, also from the producer school. Yeah, it's a great little preset. It's nothing I wanted to work on too much. And yeah, maybe interesting, the drum and bass loop that I enhanced a little more compared to the original, where it was just filtered drums, but I thought, why not go hard or go home. As you can hear, it's filtering up and in. I've cut a little bit of the highs because they were really harsh, and I decided for not having them. It sounds a little more old school then. And I have a drum loop, a breakbeat loop, which I sliced up into eighths. And then, as you see, in my MIDI track, it's just going up in eighths like this. And then later on, oh, what have I done here? Okay, and then later on, I've messed with it a little bit. And that's basically also how drum and bass came. How drum and bass was invented, and at the end I go a little more crazy, but not even that crazy. Yeah, and the rest is really basic. So I have some open hi-hats, some closed hi-hats, and maybe interesting for the closed hi-hat also, I have programmed it at first, and then I've decided to move around the dots a little. If you listen to it on solo, you think it's a little off, but you see all the 1 and 3 counts are in time, and with the rest I shifted a little bit forward and backwards, and now it sounds a little more organic, at least to me. And yeah, that's a well-known trick. You can use it as well, just to make your drums sound a little more organic and not that programmed. And then I have a ride, which is also nothing special at all. Yeah. And we have a 909 snare. That's filtering up into bass claps. Watch out which I'm still using because it's straight and simple. Yeah. And then I have I've just a simple white noise here and a sub drop. How to make a sub drop? Maybe that's also interesting. Listen to it on solo. It's the same idea as with the white noise riser. You modulate your chorus with an LFO, but in this case it's going down. And yeah, you take either a sawtooth or a square wave. I really like square for this thing, especially because it's a little housey, and house usually has square wave basses, not all the time, but for me at least, if I think house, I think first about square wave basses, and for modern stuff and techno it's often sawtooth, but also not always. But that's the way I like to think, and it reminds me of that. So yeah, that's basically it. If you like the song, please like and subscribe to my channel. Download the song, play it in your club, play it at your party, listen to it in your car, just have fun, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye bye!